Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be cutting and sewing this dress that you can see on your screen. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. I already have my pattern paper. I'll go ahead and start taking my points. The first point is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust point. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my waist point. On the waist point, I'm going to place my tape and I'll go down by 9 inches, which is going to be my hip line. Okay, in order to get a straight line, I'm going to repeat the same step on the other parts of the pattern paper and I'll rule straight lines across. So I have my bust point, which is 10 inches, under bust point 13 inches, waist point 16 inches, and I went down by 9 inches from the waist point to get my hip point. After doing that, I'll go ahead and label all the lines. The next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line. This is a sleeveless dress, so for sleeveless dresses and blouse, I always take out 1 inch from my actual shoulder measurement. So my shoulder measurement is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. So instead of placing 8 inches on the shoulder line, I placed 7 inches. Okay, on that 7 inches dot, I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope and I slanted from that point into the neckline area. After doing that, I'm going to go down by half of my round armhole measurement. My round armhole circumference is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. Instead of placing 8 inches, I reduced it by 1 inch because I don't want the armhole area to be too wide since it's a sleeveless dress. I hope you guys are not confused. So I placed my tape on the shoulder slope and I came down by 7 inches. On that 7 inches, I ruled a straight line across. So this line is going to be my chest line. I went ahead to label it. So I'll place the same measurement that I have on the shoulder line, which is 7 inches. I'll place the exact measurement on this chest line and I'll indicate it with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the dots that I have on the chest line like this. The next thing I'll do is to find the middle point of this straight line. I'm going to place my tape like this. What I have there is 7 inches. Half of 7 inches is 3.5 inches. So I'll indicate the 3.5 inches with a dot. On that dot, I'm going to come in by half an inch. I'll also indicate the half an inch with a dot. On my chest line, I'm going to place my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll also indicate that measurement with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the half an inch and from the half an inch to meet the dot that I have on the chest line. So guys, next now I'll do is to take my bust band measurement, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 4 inches. So I'm going to place the tape on my waistline. I'll mark 4 inches. On the under bust line, I'll mark 4 inches. On the bust line, I'll also mark 4 inches. After doing that, I'll connect the 3 dots into a straight line. The next thing I'll do is to take my neckline measurement. For the neck width, I'll use 3 inches, and for the neck depth, I'll also take 3 inches. After doing that, I'll connect guys. I'll go ahead and take my dart. On the center front, I'm going to take half an inch on the waistline and I'll take half an inch on the under bust line. On the side front, which is the side facing me, I'll take 1 inch on the under bust line and 1 inch on the waistline. After doing that, I'll connect into a straight line. So this measurement that I took is not the standard. If you are busty, you can do 1.5 inches on the side front and 0.75 inches on the center front. So I'm making mine for a bust 36. Okay, So after connecting, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to go down by 1 inch from my bust line. Okay, this is to avoid any sharp edge on the bustier area. So I'll indicate the 1 inch with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to use the curve part of my ruler to connect from the under bust line to meet the 1 inch mark. Okay, so this curve should not be too curvy, as you can see, and on this other side I'm just going to slant it back. Okay, I'm not going to curve this part. After doing that, this is what I have, guys. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure the remaining part that I have on this shoulder area, and I'm going to divide what I have there into 2. So divide it and indicate the midpoint. After doing that, I'm going to connect from the middle point to meet the dart leg that I have on the bust line. After connecting, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to determine how deep I want the neckline to be. So from my shoulder slope, I went down by 4 inches, as you can see, and I indicated the 4 inches with a dot. What I'm going to do now is to connect from that 4 inches dot to meet my bust line. So it depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. You can connect from there straight to your under bust line if you want your chest area to be open, but this is how I want mine. I'm connecting from there, okay, using the curved part of my roller to meet my bust line, and I'll connect from this other side into the armhole area. Just pay attention to how I am placing my ruler. In case you don't have a ruler, you can carefully use your free hand to also do this. After doing that, I'll adjust into the armhole area. The next thing I'm going to do now is to tighten the over bust. So on both sides of this dart leg, I'll be taking 1 inch. Okay, so I'll take 1 inch on the center front, I'll take 1 inch on the side front, and on the chest line, okay, on this chest line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch. I'll also indicate the 1 inch with a dot. Okay, after doing that, I'm going to connect from this over bust tightening to meet the 1 inch dot like this. So guys, I'll go ahead and also blend. Okay, I'll blend everything in place to avoid any sharp edge. So this is what I have. I'll go ahead and start placing my measurements. On the chest line, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart and I'll add 1.5 inches to that measurement for my stitching allowance. On the under bust line, I'll place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart and I'll add 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart and I'll add 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll connect the dots together. Okay, so I've gone ahead to do that, guys, and this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do now is to work on the armhole area. So this is a sleeveless top, so we don't need it to have any armhole at all. So on this armhole line, I'm going to go down by half an inch. As you can see me doing, I'm trying to create another armhole. So after going down by half an inch, I'm going to connect the half an inch mark. I'll rule a straight line across the half an inch mark. After doing that, guys, I'm going to now connect from the 4 inches dot to meet this new armhole line, as you can see me doing. So we are not using the old armhole again. This is our new armhole line. Okay, I'm going to use my marker to just highlight this point, so when we are cutting, we know where we are supposed to cut. Okay, so go ahead and just cancel the previous armhole because this is the one we'll be using. I'll also go ahead and outline the neckline area. Okay, like I said before, you can make it deeper than mine. It depends on what you want. You can take it straight down to the under bust line. Okay, so I'm going to just cancel this old armhole. The next thing we'll do is to work on the basque area. So what I'll do is to place my tape on the waistline, and I went down by 8 inches. On that 8 inches mark, I came inward by 2.5 inches. I'm going to connect like this. On the hip line, I almost forgot to place my measurement. So I placed my hip circumference divided by 4 and I added 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll connect from the waistline to meet the hip like this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to go down from the waistline on the side front by 4 inches. You can do 4 inches, you can do 3 inches. Okay, you can even do 5 inches. On that point, I came inward by 1.5 inches, which I later increased. Okay, I'm going to use my ruler to connect like this. After doing that, I'm going to slant from that point to meet the basque area. As you can see on the thumbnail, the basque area is not pointy. Okay, it is just like this. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So my camera stopped recording while I was cutting, so I'm just going to explain to you guys what I did. The parts that I used my marker to outline are the parts that I cut out. Thankfully, I didn't throw this part away. So this is how I went ahead to cut out my pattern paper. Okay, I just splitted the dart area open. That was all I did. Okay guys, I also used my masking tape to hold the waist and the basque together. Like I said earlier, I'm going to increase this part. Okay, so I'm going to go in by about 5 inches or 6 inches. If you check the picture on the thumbnail, you can see that this part is a little bit wide. Okay, so I went in by 5 inches and I connected like this. From that point, I'll connect it back into the basque, as you can see. Okay, and then I'm going to trim the other part out. Guys, after cutting, I went ahead to split my pattern paper open, so I have the center front, the side front, and the basque area. Okay, so you're going to place this on your fabric folded into two. Make sure the center front is on fold. The center front for the basque also should be on fold. So let's work on the back. So this is my pattern for the back. I'm going to to roll out all my lines like we did for the front. My chest line 8 inches, bust line 10 inches, under bust line, there is no under bust line for the back. Okay, waistline 16 inches. From the waistline I went down by 9 inches for my hip line. Okay, and I added 1.5 inches to the back for my zipper allowance. I also took half of my shoulder measurement. I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I came down by 7 inches for my round armhole circumference. So the back is very easy. I'm going to go down from the armhole by half an inch, just like we did before, and I ruled a straight line across. This time I extended the line to the zipper allowance area. Okay, this is going to serve as my new armhole. I'll go ahead and start placing my measurements. On the chest line, I placed my bust circumference divided by 4. I added 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I placed my waist circumference divided by 4. I added 1 inch for that, and I added 1.5 inches as my stitching allowance. On the hip line, I placed my hip circumference divided by 4. I also added 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. What I'll do now is to go ahead and connect the dots together, as you can see me doing. After doing that, I'll go ahead and take in my darts. So I didn't add dart allowance to the bust and the hip line because the dart is not going to extend to the bust or the hip line. Okay, the dart is just going to stop at the waistline. Okay, so to take in my dart, I'll take half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I took that on the waistline, and I took the same 4 inches on the bust line. After doing that, I'll connect the two dots into a straight line, and I'm going to take half an inch on both sides of the straight line, and I'll connect back to the bust line like this. So guys, after taking in my dart, I'm going to outline the part that will be cutting out the new armhole area, the waistline. To create the basque, I'm just going to place the front basque on the back like this, and I'll pin it down. To know the amount of strap to cut out, I'm going to measure like this. What I have here is 8 inches. Remember, we came down by 4 inches from the front. 8 plus 4 is 12 inches. So the length of the strap that I'll be cutting out is 12 inches. I'll just add 1 inch or 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. So we don't need the yoke for the back. I'll just go ahead and cut. Okay, I'll also cut out the backs following the shape that I have for the front. After cutting, I'm going to keep the front aside and I'm going to split this back on the waistline area. But before I split it, I'm going to adjust the zipper area. Okay, so I'll take out half an inch from, I'm supposed to do that on the waistline. I went ahead to do it on the hip line, so do yours from the waistline. Okay, so I took out half an inch from the 1.5 inches that I took for my zipper allowance, and I went ahead to cut it like this. After doing that, this is what we have for the back. Okay, so I've gone ahead to place my patterns on my fabric and I went ahead to cut. As you can see, I added half an inch all the way around except the center front, and I've already added my stitching allowance, so I didn't add any allowance to the sides also. So guys, these are my front patterns: the center front, the side front, and the basque. So we'll be working on the center front and the side front first. Okay, so don't forget to add half an inch all the way around your pattern paper, okay, just so you don't run short of fabric. So we'll be working on the center front and the side front. I'll go ahead and remove my pattern paper and I'll open it up for you guys to see. Okay, so this is what I have. The center front is on fold. Okay, as you're cutting your main fabric, go ahead and also cut your lining piece together with it. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. This is my center front is on fold. I have 2 pieces, the lining piece and the main piece. Okay, for the side front, it's not on fold. I have 4 pieces there, 2 pieces for the main fabric and 2 pieces for the lining. So I'm going to keep the lining aside and I'll open up the main fabric. Okay, so I'll place the center front like this and I'll place the 2 side fronts by the sides. Okay, what I'm going to do now is to place them right side facing right side, and I'm going to use half an inch. So remember, I left half an inch while I was cutting. Okay, you're going to use the half an inch to stitch together. Okay, just follow the shape that you have there and stitch together. I'll do that for the main fabric and I'll repeat the same step for the lining piece. After sewing it in place, guys, this is what I have. So go ahead and iron it open. Okay, just place it on your tailor's arm and iron it. Okay, after doing that, guys, I'm going to cut out the strap that I'll be using. Okay, make sure you sew your lining piece alongside with the main fabric. After doing that, I'll cut out the strap that I'll be using. Like I mentioned earlier, the length of the strap is 12 inches, so I added 1.5 inches to that measurement, which I'll be using as my stitching allowance. Okay, and the wideness of this strap should be at least 1.5 inches. Okay, so what I'll do is to fold the strap right side facing right side. I'll sew and I'll go ahead and turn it inside out. So guys, I've sewn my strap in place. Okay, I'm going to now place the strap on the main fabric. I'm placing it directly on the dart leg, as you can see me doing. After doing that, I'm going to bring in my lining piece and I'll cover it up. So go ahead and pin all the way around. After pinning, I'll go ahead and sew the armhole, the neckline, the sides. Okay, and I'll leave the base, which I'll use to open it up. Okay, after sewing, this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and notch all the way around. After notching, I'll turn it inside out. Okay, after turning it, you can go ahead and iron. Okay, so I've gonna turn it inside out and this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to bring in my basque. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, the center of your basques for the front should be on fold, and you can see that I added half an inch all the way around. So what I'll do is to open it up. As you can see they are matching. I'm going to now sew it in place. So remember, I left half an inch as my stitching allowance. I'm going to use the half an inch to sew. After sewing, guys, this is what I have. Okay, so work on the back. Okay, so this is my back piece. Go ahead and notch the zipper allowance just so you know where it is, and also go ahead and notch the dart area. Okay, I'm going to remove my pattern papers. As you can see, I added half an inch allowance all the way around too. and I'm going to open this up. Okay, you can see that the up and the back looks the same. Just go ahead and just notch the zipper allowance just so you know where the up is and where the down is. Also go ahead and notch your dart. So I've opened it up and this is what I have. I don't have lining piece for this, so I went ahead to cut out facing. I'll be using this as my facing, but before I do that, I'm going to go out by 4 inches, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. That is my dart leg. I'm taking the 4 inches after my zipper allowance. Okay, that's why I said you should notch your zipper allowance so you are not confused. I went ahead to bring back my front piece. I arranged the strap in place, so I'm going to go ahead and pin the strap on the dart leg as you can see me doing, and then I'll cover it up with my facing. Okay, pin it down, cover it up with your facing or your lining piece if you're using a lining piece, and then go ahead and sew. I've gone ahead to sew, guys. This is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to bring the basque. Okay, what I'm going to do now is to arrange them in place. So notch your zipper allowance just so you know which goes where. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now pin them together, and I'll use my half an inch to also sew it in place. Okay, after sewing, guys, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to also pin my zipper allowance down, okay, because I want to join both the front and the back. So I'm going to arrange them in place as you can see me doing, right sides facing right side. I'll go ahead and also pin everything in place. After pinning, I'm going to use the 1.5 inches allowance that I left for my stitching allowance. I'll use it to sew on both sides. I've gone ahead to sew, guys, and this is what I have. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to add gathers or pleats to the down part of this dress. To do that, go ahead and measure from the tip of the zipper allowance area all the way around. Whatever you have, you are going to times it times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5, depending on the amount of fabric you have. So I'm sewing this dress just for this tutorial. I do not have enough fabric, so what I have here is times 2 of this measurement. Okay, and you're going to determine the length of your dress with your gathers. You're also going to determine if you want to gather it or you want to pleat it, whatever works for you. For me, I'll head over to my sewing machine and I'll gather this all the way around. Okay, after doing that, I'll also fix my zipper to the zipper allowance area. So I've gone ahead to do that, guys, and this is what I have. You can see that my dress is really short. That's because I did not have enough fabric for it. I'm just doing this for this tutorial. But the last thing you do is to hem the base of your dress, and that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.